So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Rood, who is the 10th president of University of Northern Iowa, and he is going to introduce our keynote speaker today.
Thanks, Ted. Welcome everybody from UNI, and welcome all of our guests. Thank you for being here. It's a shame, this is one of those days we should have scheduled this outside instead of inside for a great Iowa day after a little bit of water that we needed. It's absolutely my pleasure today to introduce our keynote speaker, Kim Reynolds, the Lieutenant Governor of Iowa. She grew up in St. Charles, Iowa, and resides in Osceola, where she has served as county treasurer and state senator. That means you know about the money then. Okay. On November 2nd, 2010, she was elected Lieutenant Governor of the state of Iowa. Once in office, she got right to work. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds serves as the co-chair to the governor's STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Advisory Council, along with Vermeer Manufacturing President Mary Andringa. And I have the pleasure also of sitting on that board. And let me tell you, the Lieutenant Governor means business, and we get through that agenda in the prescribed time, and if we don't, we're in trouble. So thank you for that energy on the STEM Council. STEM Initiative is helping to provide access to STEM programs for students across Iowa, and is ensuring that Iowa has a skilled workforce in place for today's and tomorrow's world economy. Reynolds is actively involved in the National Lieutenant Governors Association, serving as treasurer on the executive committee, and she serves as education chair for the Aerospace States Association. Among her responsibilities as Lieutenant Governors, Kim serves as co-chair of the Iowa Partnership for Economic Progress Board with Governor Branstad, and co-chairs the Military Children's Education Coalition with Iowa Major General Timothy Orr. She has led numerous trade and fact-finding missions for Iowa, visiting China, South Korea, Thailand, Germany, Vietnam, and the Philippines. And I understand tomorrow she's on her way to South Africa, and she might want to comment about that. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds and her husband Kevin have 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren. She is truly a friend of education, EPSCoR, and the state of Iowa, and it's absolutely my pleasure and my honor to host and to introduce Kim Reynolds, the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Iowa.
Well, good morning, and thank you, President Rood, for that extremely nice introduction. And I want to thank you for just stepping right into the STEM Advisory Council. As he indicated, he's already been to a meeting and contributing and participating, and UNI has played such a valuable role in the STEM Advisory Council, not only from participation of President Allen, but also because of the resources that you provide for the initiative. So we're extremely grateful for that. Well, and I want to tell you, the governor's doing his part today. The lucky guy, he's on a bike participating in RAGBRAI. So he got up early this morning with not a lot of training. So I was supposed to do that, and I said, oh, golly, you know, I'm going to do it sometime. But I said, I have a STEM engagement that I have the opportunity to talk about. And so you ride for both of us, and good luck. So anyway, they've got a video on him already, and he was on the bike and traveling from Perry to Des Moines and doing quite well. So I appreciate the opportunity really to speak with all of you here today at the Iowa EPSCoR annual all-hands meeting. I know that EPSCoR is doing important work to equip institutions of higher education to build capacity in energy research as well as energy education. And really, this ties so strongly to the mission of the Governor's STEM Advisory Council. This month actually marks the 2nd anniversary of Governor Branstad signing the executive order which established the STEM Council in the summer of 2011. As President Rood indicated, I am so honored to serve as the co-chair of this ambitious public-private partnership with Mary Andringa, who is the president and CEO of Vermeer Corporation in Pella, and she assumed that role on July 1st. And it continues really to build education and the business industry together. So we're really excited about having Mary on. And before that, as you all know, former UNI President Ben Allen was the co-chair for the first 2 years of the initiative, really sharing his wisdom as well as I indicated the many, many resources at UNI to launch and really support the council. I also want to give credit for the Governor's STEM Advisory Council it really got off to such a great start because we had the good fortune to build on the foundation that was laid by the 3 state universities through the Iowa Math and Science Education Partnership, or IMSEF. I'm pleased to be here this morning and to report that the Council is continuing to make impressive progress to encourage greater student interest and achievement in STEM-related fields and to really better prepare young Iowans to enter a competitive workforce and what we all know is a global economy. STEM education, and I'm not telling you anything new, is vital to the success, future growth, and economic development of our state, and it really will power a more robust STEM workforce pipeline. You know, the progress is due to a number of things, including the vision and the commitment of the Council members. It's very diverse. They show up, they're busy, they're working, and really contributing so much. But it's also due to the outstanding leadership from our Executive Director, Jeff Weld, who was instrumental, and he's out there someplace, and I know you all know him, but Jeff, can you give a big, there he is. And I really wanted to know where he is, because if I'm going to take question and answers, I said, Jeff, where are you going to be? Because I want to point to you and say he is going to answer that question. But he has been instrumental in the success of the Council, and really he worked on IMSEF and brought all of that background and knowledge and expertise to the STEM Advisory Council. And I want to also to say it's due to the generous bipartisan support of Iowa's legislature. In the last year, they appropriated $4.7 million to this initiative, and this year the legislature appropriated $5.2 million to this initiative. So they're really putting the money behind it, and really that's allowing us to get programs in the hands of students all across the state of Iowa. There are many lieutenant governors that serve, that really are promoting STEM initiatives in their states, and that is something, not only the infrastructure, which I'll talk a little bit about later, but the support from business and industry and our legislature has really set Iowa apart from other programs in other states, and we are leading the nation, and they are looking to us as an example. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit, but first I want to note another factor that's contributing to the Council's success, and it's the amazing collective momentum that's generated by many other STEM initiatives underway across Iowa, and of course that includes EPSCoR. For example, by enhancing post-secondary STEM opportunities such as undergraduate research with a focus particularly for students underrepresented in STEM. Really, EPSCoR embodies that collaborative spirit that has enabled Iowa to excel in STEM by uniting institutions of higher education with business and industry, with government, and also K-12. So I hope we can look for other ways to better integrate all of the wonderful work in STEM made possible by EPSCoR, the Governor's STEM Advisory Council, and other initiatives. And we have some overlap, and I think that helps in the continuity between all of the different programs. Provost Butler serves on EPSCoR. He's been extremely participative in the STEM Advisory Council, and then I also work with him on the Aerospace State Association, so that brings, oh, there he is, I was trying to find him too, bring some continuity, and certainly appreciate everything that you bring to the table. So you know it's not unusual for me to send an email or pick up the phone and say, help, and he always follows through. Jeff Weld has been involved in several of those also, so we do see some collaboration between all of the programs, but tremendous opportunity, I think, to really build on that so that we can have a maximum impact on the bright, really prosperous future for young people in our state. And that should include working together in the realm of energy, such as the biofuels industry. At a recent Bio International Convention in Chicago, I had the opportunity to showcase Iowa's role in the biofuel industry, and I know that's something that EPSCoR is involved in. And as you know, Iowa, leads the nation in the renewable fuels industry. And in fact, the Battelle Memorial Institute identified that Iowa has made great advances through biomass-based innovations in ag bioscience, bioenergy, and industrial biotechnology sectors. We have a tradition of being trailblazers in Iowa, and we've been true to our state's long history of using resources that we've been so blessed with, raw materials, a skilled and productive workforce, an innovative culture to really solve the problems facing not only our neighbors but the world. And in fact, Governor Branstad has been an early leader in renewable fuels. During his first term in office, he established the first renewable standard, and that was in 1983. And since then, over 20-some states have really implemented that standard in their states. So early on, he recognized that Iowa had the potential to be a leader in renewable fuels and has really drove that initiative. He continues to play a role today in the national leadership advancing policies that support biofuels development, and he was recently named chairman of the Governor's Biofuels Coalition. So the state currently has more than 24 biodiesel refineries that are capable of producing 325 million gallons of biodiesel, and that's about 12% of the U.S. total biodiesel output. We also have 41 ethanol refineries across the state of Iowa that produces 3.7 billion gallons annually. And again, we are a leader in ethanol production, producing about 25% of the total nation's supply. So another byproduct of the refineries really is economic development all across rural Iowa. And I come from rural Iowa, so I'm really proud of the fact that that's enhancing farm commodities as well as economic growth in communities all across the state of Iowa. But I think you know that Iowans don't stand still for long, that we're not going to rest on our previous achievements. We're going to continue to do the research and look for ways that we can find next generation, whether it's butanol, cellulosic or algae, and we continue to lean in all fronts at that perspective also. And wind, over 21% of Iowa's electricity is generated by wind. We're third in the nation in wind production, only to Texas and California. So on a per capita basis, let me tell you, we're leading. We're leading. So that's just wonderful to see Iowa really lead the nation in renewable fuels and energy independence. And I'm confident that we'll continue to grow Iowa's energy sector thanks to the commitment from many places, and of course including EPSCoR in Iowa with its focus really on harnessing renewable energy. And the Governor's STEM Advisory Council is passionate about doing its part to offer students the opportunities to learn the skills that we believe will enable them to succeed in, not only the renewable fuels energy, but other STEM fields as well. And that's why really one of our top priorities, as I indicated earlier, has been providing young people more high-quality STEM education programs and really helping them see for themselves the relevance of taking math and science and problem solving, communicating, working together, being curious, asking questions, finding answers. I've had the opportunity to travel to so many school districts across the state since I've been involved in this, and when I walk into a classroom and it's kids that have so many barriers facing them, that have a hard time just sitting in a seat listening, they are engaged and passionate. In fact, they don't really even like me asking them questions. They're so engaged in building that Lego on the computer and then designing something with that. And it's inspirational for me to see that and to see the engagement and to think that because maybe they don't have somebody at home that's telling them they can do or be anything that they want to be, that by participating in some of these programs, they're seeing it for themselves and they understand the possibilities that they have for their future. So that's my favorite part by far. So we're going to continue to work on that, and we've seen this in schools and outside of schools, in clubs and summer programs. So that's the other thing. It's just not a 9-month window. We want them participating in after-school programs throughout the summer, just any opportunity that we can provide to keep them engaged. So whether or not students end up choosing to pursue STEM careers, we believe that they all deserve to be prepared so that they have an opportunity, because math, that implies to everything that they do throughout their life. And that's certainly, you mentioned my 5 grandchildren, and I'll tell you, got one more on the way coming in August. So that's what I want for my grandchildren, and it's what I want for all Iowa's young people, is to have that opportunity. Our oldest granddaughter is Avery. She is going to turn 5 August 3rd, and I asked her, or September, excuse me. I said, Avery, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be like a scientist? I'm pushing it just a little bit. Or what do you want to be? So she can answer those science questions for me, because as a full disclaimer, that's not my background, but I can be a big cheerleader to get more kids involved. And she kind of looked at me and she kind of pondered a little bit, and she says, well, Grandma, I think I want to be a farmer. And I said, Avery, that's awesome. But you can be a scientist farmer who discovers that next hybrid seed that can feed 9 billion people. And she looked at me like, whoa, you know. So I'm trying to do my part with my 5 grandchildren to get them engaged and involved and really participating. You know, in 2012 and 13, we reached nearly 40,000 students with engaging STEM education programs that were offered through the council with the support of so many people that I highlighted earlier. And we were so excited about that because we started really late. The school year had already started, so we were kind of behind the curve, and we were just, wow, 40,000. But for the 2013-14, we just finished the RFP process for teachers and educators and after-school programs. And if we can fund everything, we should reach over 100,000 students in the next school year. So that's some pretty cool progress, I think, that we're making, and really proud of that, and we're going to continue to build on it. This Governor's STEM Advisory Council did 2 things to make this possible. We believe that's really helped. I talked about the foundation that was put in place by IMSEF, but we identified a pool of high-quality, scalable STEM educational programs through the RFP process. We know educators are busy and they've got a lot on their plate, so we really wanted to make it as easy as we could, and we wanted to provide it at the most part for no cost, so that we could provide them professional development, we could provide them the whole package and just get them to do it and participate in it. We had 9 applicants that were selected for the high-quality STEM programs out of 39 proposals, and they were picked for the 2013-14 school year based on their track record of really inspiring youth interest and achievement in STEM, as well as their histories of attracting a diverse youth population, because one of the goals of the STEM advisory is to help underrepresented students and get them engaged in these same activities. Second, we established the network of 6 regional hubs. We really broke the state down, and while there's a great big overarching state board and the managers talk, I bet, on a daily basis, we recognize that all of the regions were different, and they had different needs, they had different business and industry, they had different places where they excelled and different places where we could help them get more access to the programs. And so we divided the state into 6 regional hubs, hub manager, advisory board, to help deliver the programs, the outreach, and really start to talk about the advantages of science, technology, engineering, and math, what was available, market it. You know, what we found is that parents, they really still don't understand the STEM acronym, but that's how it's identified at a national and a local level. So we need to do a better job of talking about it and talking about the relevance. I'm going to list the hubs. You probably are familiar, but I'm so grateful for their participation in this role, and they've really helped us, I think, and be successful. UNI serves as a hub. Iowa State University, the University of Iowa and Kirkwood is our only partnership. The Kirkwood Community College, Iowa Lakes Community College, Southwestern Community College, and Drake University. So again, we have great big diverse, a lot of diversity in the hub locations. And the council's and I want to talk briefly about, highlight 2 other areas that we're moving forward with this next year. One, we announced earlier this month that schools can apply for grants for up to $50,000 to launch STEM schools and classrooms in the fall of 2014. We've appropriated about $151,000 for this initiative, and we hope that the recipients will serve kind of as a state model for other school districts going forward to really adopt this and see how they've done it and bring it into their schools. So we're really excited about that, and it's innovative in its own nature. I mean, there's some basic criteria that they have to meet, but then we're saying we're turning it over to you to define it and to really make it happen, and then we'll bring that back and make that available to other school districts across the state. Grant applications are due by August 30th, and awards will be announced in November. And we really believe that this it has the potential to transform STEM for Iowa students and schools, especially to help young people better understand the meaningful, good-paying career opportunities that are available in STEM. And one of the other things that we're hoping to drive with the STEM classrooms is really more holistic teaching, where STEM is reinforced in each one of the disciplines, so we can get all teachers engaged in it and figure out ways that they can take what they've learned in math into their arts class, and what they can take there and move that into their literature class, really looking at providing a holistic education around STEM initiatives. Schools can apply for up to $50,000 to launch STEM schools and classrooms for the fall of 2014. I think I said that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Governor's STEM Advisory Council. I talked about the public-private partnership, and now that we're up and running, we really want to put more emphasis on building that private partnership piece. Because of what the state has appropriated, that allows us to really leverage the public dollars with private investment. So we'll be hiring an assistant director for the council with really fundraising as one of his or her primary responsibilities. I also want to mention that we did receive this year a $1.2 million NSF grant, Iowa STEM Education Evaluation, or IC, and that's really charged or tasked with coordinating a statewide evaluation system. It's really important for us, and I think for the success to continue forward for this initiative, that we have metrics in place and we can demonstrate to not only the legislature but to Iowans that it is working, and it also, if something isn't working, it allows us to evaluate it accurately and we can step back and go down another path. So really appreciative of all the work that went into us receiving that $1.2 million grant over 3 years, and I think, again, Iowa then will serve as a model for other states to put in place an evaluation system. So, so we're working on bringing in the private sector. It's been amazing to see educators and business and industry really collaborating on really the benefit for everybody. But partners could be described in this whole initiative as really our renewable fuel behind the success of the Governor's STEM Advisory Council. So many partners make that success possible in not only direct but indirect ways, including, as I indicated, higher education institutions, pre-K-12 schools, families, nonprofits, business and industry, Iowa legislature, as well as state and federal agencies. So I just want to say, as kind of, I talk really fast, I'm trying to slow down, but it's not in my nature, but I just want to say thank you for the important work that EPSCoR is doing to really move Iowa ahead in STEM. So I think I'm going to take some questions, but I'm here to say thank you for everything you're doing. I look forward to being a partner with you as we continue to provide all kinds of opportunities for Iowa's youth and for the great state of Iowa. Thank you.
Is this on? So if you have a question for the Lieutenant Governor, we'll bring a microphone to you. Don't be shy.
I said this is honestly the most nerve-wracking part of my job.
Do you have any initiatives to bring working engineers or retired engineers, scientists into schools and streamline the process so they could qualify for being STEM teachers?
We actually do. That's one of the initiatives that we've been working on. Chris Kilbarda with the South Central Hub has kind of led that initiative. So they have met with BOE and have talked about different ways that we can implement that, as well as different levels. What's the word I'm looking for, Jeff? For educators to get a licensure, a STEM licensure in addition to that. So we're looking at that twofold. Holscher, the UNI hub, is leading a task force, and it's a one-to-one, but it's business and industry, retired professionals, retired engineers, matching up with each school district so that we can provide mentors for each one for school districts across the state of Iowa. So there's several different fronts that we are addressing that situation, and we know that it's something that needs to be addressed. Jeff, do I need to add anything to that? And that takes into account retired individuals. Yep. Yes. Yep. So we're trying to expedite that and reduce the cost. So thank you for your question, and we've identified that early on as something that we needed to address, and that's a pretty good turnaround. I think they've really, Chris's group did a phenomenal job of really reaching out and providing an outcome so quickly, just because I think everybody really recognized that the need was there. Barry, it's your team members that really ask you the tough ones.
I'll just speak up. So I think Iowa has a history of, if you look at sort of leadership in tech industries around the country over the last 30 or 40 years, there's been a number of very high-ranking managers who've come out of small-town Iowa. The former CEO of Exxon came out of, I think, Mount Union. A fellow from Brooklyn, Iowa, headed up Northrop, or one of the major aerospace companies. A lot of examples like that. And as you look into the future, those communities produced a lot of real, not just leadership, but a lot of really good people working in the high-tech industry around the country, not just in Iowa. And as you look into the future with the K-12 education system and a lot of smaller schools consolidating and different things, can you talk a little bit about how do we sort of maintain that? I think it's a great pipeline. I think there's something about that educational system that has led those people to very successful careers. I don't know what it is, but it's worked. And as you look into the future, what's gonna transpire?
Well, hopefully the whole STEM initiative can drive that. But I think I just had an informal entrepreneurial task force that we met for probably 4 or 5 months to really tap into some of those very individuals that you're talking about and figure out ways that we can let kids see that it starts right in, St. Charles, Iowa, or Mount Union, or wherever, that they have the capability of solving the problems. They just have to, we have to answer the question and solve the problem. So one of the things that we don't do very well, we've kind of got away from, is telling the story. We don't think young people today really know about those successful people that come right here from Iowa, and so we need to do a better job. We've talked about pitch and grow. We've talked about different ways that classrooms with technology today, there's no reason that they can't participate or be a part of that. We've got a wonderful entrepreneurial ecosystem that is starting to really develop all across the state of Iowa, not just in Des Moines, but in Ames and Council Bluffs and Spirit Lake. And so you're seeing hubs really popping up all over the state, and really trying to find a better way of coordinating and connecting them with school districts. Waukee is going to be an example. They've traveled down to Kansas, to the CAPS High School, which is just, it's like a small business environment where individuals come in and they actually have business clients. They work on projects. A couple of them designed a hotel and a museum, and they're working hand in hand, and they're looking at implementing something like that. So I think the STEM classrooms, the grant process that we're talking about there is an opportunity for small school districts, large, medium, all across the state of Iowa to implement that. Another thing that you're seeing, I think the more hands-on and the more that we connect and give them the opportunity to participate in those kind of programs, your smaller school districts are starting to understand they can't do it by themselves. So you see a lot of regional academies where 4 or 5 rural school districts are coming together with community help, local, state, a lot of business and industry helping fund a classroom or a facility where students from every one of those school districts can come. And it's like, again, it's like the CAPS. It's like walking into the manufacturing floor, walking into the science lab. Or so it's very hands-on, where a lot of times school districts really individually can't afford the equipment to really give them the experience that they need. But by collaborating, come together, we can find ways to do that. And so hopefully this can even help drive that. It was already happening a lot in eastern Iowa, but we can talk about that and take best practices to the different hubs, and then they have, our hub managers as well as the advisory board have the opportunity to meet with all the school district, business and industry in their region to help talk about what some of the other areas are doing to help drive that. Can you think of anything else that we're doing that I missed? Okay.
I think we have time for one more question.
I was just curious about, I'm interested in math, and I was just curious about what at the state level the thinking is on preparing teachers for the Common Core state standards. What are you folks thinking about? How do you think, or do you think teachers are ready for that curriculum that the Common Core state standards contemplate, or exactly how are we supposed to implement it?
Well, I think our college preparatory schools are doing a better job of that. I think part of the problem has been is that every time there's been so much change, first Iowa was one of the last states to adopt standards, so we didn't have any standards, and then we adopted Iowa Core, and then we're bringing it together with the Common Core. So there's been a lot of changes, a lot of uncertainty with educators. I think we're on the path. They just released the next generation science standards, so we're working really hard with the AEAs, with the colleges and universities to make sure that we're providing professional development so teachers have what they need to be successful. We just passed what I believe is transformational education reform at the state level, and the whole goal is to really help and prepare teachers and provide them the tools that they need to be successful. We're looking at an assessment piece that we believe will tie directly to the Common Core standards. That was another complaint or concern that we heard from educators as we traveled across the state of Iowa, that they need an assessment piece that matches up with the Common Core requirements so that they can identify more quickly where the issues are at, so the teacher can change the strategies and hopefully reach out to the students. So we're looking at that. I don't think we've completely signed on to that yet, but Smarter Balance is the assessment piece that we're looking at. When I ask teachers, educators about it, I've received a pretty positive feedback on it because it's online. So another issue that we have to look at, though, from a state perspective is broadband connectivity, to make sure that we can implement that when we go to, because you're going to have, school systems all across the state accessing at the same time, so we have to make sure that we have connectivity to all of the schools, and that goes with a lot of the STEM programs also. But even the ability for teachers to be lead, mentor, and model teachers to work together to collaborate to make sure that they can kind of be a system for each other, that they can help prepare. We're looking at a full year clinical. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a pilot program for the first year. So we're going to have a university and then a private college where they'll do their pedagogy right at the school while they're teaching. So we've looked at a lot of different ways that we can help work with not only our educational institutions, but new teachers going into the field so that they're prepared and successful. We've tried very hard to just raise the professionalism of educators as a whole, to really recognize what the value and how important they are to our students and to the success of Iowa. So we were able to put some money behind the initiative too. So we've brought new money into the transformational education reform, tied to some metrics, some accountability. But we're working on that. We're bringing stakeholders together to define what that looks like, so it's fair. But it helps them, I think, do a better job of, it's just tools, I think, for them. So we're kind of hitting on it in a lot of different areas, and we're really going to be at a key point. We got it passed, which it's taken a long time to get that done, but that's okay. We needed a lot of input from a lot of people, and I feel really good where we're at. But now we have to implement it, and so that's a really, really important piece to make sure that we do it right, so we're not looking at another 25 years before we, look at it again. So it's going to be an ongoing process. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're looking forward to working with all levels to make sure that we provide students that want to educate our students the best possible measures to be successful.
Well, let's thank our...
Thank you for everything you do.